Welcome back, my friends. I'm JohnnyB from JohnnyB.com. Today we're going to talk about how to use the loan, the lender, and the bank as your ally to get your offer accepted and avoid all the nightmares. One of the principles that we use in getting offers accepted is to increase the pie. So here's the idea. A normal negotiation, you put a pie there, we want a bigger slice. You want a bigger slice. That's the whole struggle. What we want to do is approach it differently. We will look at the pie and we'll figure out how to add to the pie so that everyone gets a bigger piece. And the things that we add don't necessarily cost you any money. And the loan is one of those areas. Remember the principle that we use in getting offers accepted. The highest probability of close and the lowest stress, those are the things that the listing agent wants. The seller wants the highest real offer, not the highest problematic failing offer. So using this principle, we want to add to that credibility of close. That probability of close is critical. So how do you get that? Well, first of all, understanding the lending landscape. There are three major sources, really four. You have the big banks, you have the mortgage bankers and the mortgage brokers and the credit unions. So let's start with the big banks. Big banks have a set criteria that they have to fit your loan into. If it doesn't fit, they can't do it. The people I use are the very top in their field at those banks. They're well known. They have leverage within their organizations. And if your loan makes sense in a way that they can sell it to the underwriter, they may be able to get an exception. If it doesn't fit there, then there's another place we can go. A mortgage broker. A mortgage broker has maybe hundreds, if not thousands, of sources for loans. They may not even know for sure where you're going to go at the onset. They're going to place your loan at the very best possible price and terms. A mortgage broker can get things done that a bank cannot touch. Now, a mortgage banker, they have their own funds and theoretically could do what they call a portfolio loan. That's where the loan stays inside the company. But in reality, just like the mortgage broker, they usually sell the loan before the close. The problem with mortgage brokers and bankers is they typically don't have final underwriting say-so. They have to go to a third party to get authorization, and because of that, it can inject a bit of time. The mortgage banker that I use is very fast and so capable, and he's a former CPA, and he puts together such complex loans that loan officers from other banks could get a discount, a company discount from their bank, but they still go to him. He's able to bring so much value in his knowledge on how to package things that it comes out as an advantage to the loan officer. So he is an outlier. Okay, let's assume that you work in tech abroad and you transfer here. You have a couple of years experience, but you don't have a US FICO score. Well, there's a certain credit union which can give you a pseudo 740 FICO score and even give you a great discounted rate just because they want to form that initial relationship with you, and so I can share that information as needed. So the institution is part of the puzzle, but also the loan officer. Now, I've taken a lot of time to quiz the banks to find out which one is better at what, but also to find out who the top performers are at each bank so that we can network with the very best of the best. When I first became an agent, I listened to the people around me, and some of them were really big players. And they all seemed to have a single loan officer that they funneled everything through. And I complained. I said, you know, I like him, but his rates don't seem to be all that great. And I was told by this really big agent, most people don't care. Well, I think people do care. So that's why I took the time to find out where to go in different situations and which loan officer to use for different situations. Now, of course, every one of them would like me to be their sole source for loans. And there was one bank in particular that offered me thousands of dollars if I would work with them and they would jointly market with me. And you'll see this sort of activity in the large teams. They will often have a favorite vendor who's paying them, and they do joint marketing, and that allows them to have a bigger reach. And then they bring on a bunch of subordinate team members who may have very little experience or a lot of experience, but quite often it's a newer agent. You don't really get to benefit from the team leader's experience because you're working with somebody with far less experience. So the stats look great, but that's not quite what's delivered. So I don't know, for me, I can't do it. Let's imagine that I've got 6 months of marketing that we've jointly marketed, and this lender stops performing. I have to fire him because I'm a fiduciary. That means I've adopted you. You're my son or you're my daughter, and how do I send you to somebody that's no longer performing? But what do I do with him or her? Because I have 6 months of investment jointly with them for a whole bunch of leads, hundreds of leads. I find that to be a pickle that I can't stomach. So I just refuse all marketing money from vendors. Here's how you can really mess this up. Let's say you happen to go to the best loan source, the best bank or credit union or mortgage broker, and it happens to be the very best fit for you. Got the right institution, you walk in the door, you start talking with them, they pull your credit, they tell you you're pre-approved, or you just submit a loan application and it's in progress. Here's the problem. The top tier loan officer that I've located, you can't use them. You're stuck with the person you started with. That's the bank politics. This is really a tough place to be. So my suggestion is, when we have coffee, let's discuss your situation, figure out which is the best loan source for you, and then I can share with you who the best person is there so that you can get a great outcome. You really need both. Imagine that you've got the best car in the race, but you got Pee Wee Herman behind the wheel. You're going to just have a terrible day. This is huge stuff, and the loan officer can completely destroy your chances of getting a home. Just completely ruin it. So to do this right, let's talk first. And then there's a couple of principles that we use. So one of the guiding principles that I use to increase the appearance of strength for your offer is to make sure that your offer has the ingredients so that it appears larger or more attractive than somebody that brings in an equivalent offer with the same price and terms. How do we make your offer look more attractive? It's through the max pre-approval. So let's imagine that my beautiful wife Vicki is pre-approved, her client is pre-approved to $3 million, and my client's approved to $2 million, and we're both bringing in $2 million offers with exact price and terms. Which one are you going to gamble your children's home and food on? You're going to want the more qualified, the overqualified party, because there's plenty of room for something to go wrong. My client, if something goes wrong at $2 million pre-approval, $2 million offer, something goes wrong, they could not perform. So that principle is free firepower. So every chance we get, we want to use free firepower so that your offer is more attractive than it would otherwise be. Next time, we're going to talk about the cash involved in the escrow and how to maximize, again, your power to get your offer accepted. Till then, I'm Johnny B.
His name is Johnny B, Johnny Bretthauer. Johnny, good to have you on the show.
Thank you, Brent. Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you bet, you bet. Now, Johnny and I have known each other for years, but I think you've been on the show before. That's right. I've had you on.
I think this is the third time.
Third time. Well, today I want him to be on because he is a newly published author. He just wrote his first book on real estate. Why don't you tell everyone what the title of that book is?
It's the Ultimate Home Buyer's Guide.
Okay, great. The ultimate, doesn't that sound great? It's like the ultimate hamburger. You know, if I was going to eat a hamburger, I want that book. But the Ultimate Home Buyer's Guide. In fact, you can get it at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble. Johnny, before we went to break, we promised him, we got back to him, what was happening with bank repos, foreclosed properties, REOs, all the same thing, different terminology.
Active listings for foreclosures, 87% drop in 12 months.
Wow. So there's hardly any, you could say.
Right. And 96% drop in short sales. Everybody was talking about how short sales was going to be the new
The big
REO.
wave, and that's even worse.
Well, it's dropping. So all of this is dropping.
There's a lot of the markets. We've seen a big gain in appreciation. I think what's happening is people that were upside down are now right side up.
You're right. In Mountain View, we had a peak, right? In 2005 to 2007, we had a peak. In Mountain View, in Cupertino, in Sunnyvale, we're past that peak by a lot.
Wow. Did you guys just hear that?
Year over year, we're up 20%, 19.6 in Mountain View, Sunnyvale 17.2%. These are enormous numbers.
Oh yeah, we had 18 and 19% gains for Roseville, Rockland, El Dorado Hills, a lot of different areas in Sacramento. But the difference is the prices were $200,000-300,000. On median numbers. Now your price range, for example, let's take Cupertino.
Right.
What can a typical house cost there?
$1.2 million.
Okay, now you take that at 17%, and we're talking
quite a bit of money,
quite a bit of change. So,
but here's the exciting thing: there's some great jobs around those cities, Cupertino, Mountain View, but the people that are working there often have to go a little bit of ways to find the great opportunity. Santa Clara is where I'm selling a lot of homes to these high-end.
So Santa Clara is the great market with a lot of potential for upswing and very reasonable.
Absolutely. Hasn't even reached the previous peak.
Why do you think that is?
It's just, as you get a little bit further away from the job, you add a commute. There's a quality of life issue. But there's a quality of life issue to how would you like a mortgage for $1.2 million? You can.
I think you just made a lot of people choke, JohnnyB. They're like, no, we don't want that. And you're saying that's a good deal.
Well, the average home in Santa Clara is $630,000, so that's about half. So that's worth a few minutes on the freeway.
So a few minutes. Wow, that's a big difference.
Yeah, it's enormous. So it's a great place for a person to start out. If they want to live in Cupertino, there's a jump or two sometimes between where you are and where you want to be.
Wow. Amazing stuff. So where are these young couples getting their 20% down? I mean, you're talking about a couple $100,000 on $1 million property. Have they saved it up? Are mom and dad helping them? What do you normally see? What do you guys see? It's not a problem us Sacramento realtors deal with every day. And usually if someone does buy $1 million property, they're putting 500, 600, 700,000 down and they're more mature. And let's say it's not their first home in Sacramento. Now, you got first-time home. Where are they getting their cash? We want to know, right? Don't we?
I'll tell you where. We have a whole lot of people that have super high degrees, phenomenal credentials. We have people that are immigrating with H-1B genius visas, and they have great jobs.
These people make a ton of dough, and they've earned the money themselves. Mom and dad aren't just plunking down, here's a couple $100,000.
Sometimes, but most of the time they're saving up their money. The average client of mine is about 31 years old. They're buying their first home. They usually have the money in the bank to do it. They have a great career. Many of them have master's degrees, from Ivy League schools. They've earned it.
They've earned it, and now they're paying for it because they got the big house.
Well, they're investing in it. If you've got a big house and it's going up
17%,
even a little bit, it's a big thing.
$1 million to 17%, $170,000. Not even you take into account the compounding effect. Wow, amazing stuff. So, whew.